Welcome back, folks, to the final round teams action here at the College Disc Golf National Championships. I'm Pavvo Stubstad from Central Coast Disc Golf, joined by Tournament Director John Baker.
Grateful to be here, Pavvo. I hate it has to end after this one.
Yeah, I hate it has to end after this one too, now that I'm sitting here in a warm house commentating, but when I was out there with a camera in 40 degrees with pouring rain on and off all day, I couldn't wait for it to be over, if I'm being honest with you. As we see, these conditions that the players were dealing with were absolutely brutal. Freezing cold, rain on and off for the whole round. But Emporia actually put together a solid front nine, shooting 3 under bogey free. Going into the back, they are still our tournament leaders.
Yeah, these conditions were proving challenging for our defending champions, Missouri, but I'm going to say that was the trend for most of the field, too, from the scores we saw getting turned in.
Indeed, and here is that 3 under front nine that we saw from Emporia. Missouri at 1 over for the round, 24 under for the event overall. The first few holes we're going to see here on the back nine are also new to coverage this year, since they were not included in the final 13 that we saw for the singles play. Starting off with hole 10, a huge par 3 at 503 feet. Big downhill shot off the tee, but then the basket is tucked up in the woods here on the right, up this hill, in a very picturesque, tight green. I got to imagine there were extremely few birdies on this hole. I could see some course designers calling this one a par 4. Alexis Chaparro up first.
Yeah, and you got to think with that hyzer approach that they're just going to play this one, or this drive, will be played for par.
And that's got to be the way that almost every team is electing to play it, because if you go for the green and you end up in those thick woods down the hill, it can be difficult to save par. Cade slipping on the tee pad a little bit, going for that high flex shot, trying to crash the trees and find the green, but that is too far to the right. And clips some trees and trickles down. But of course they have one in play, safe at the bottom of the hill, so they should still be able to get their par. Great shot from Drew Cantrell there to the bottom of the hill.
Yeah, that had such good distance control. Was lined up so straight. They can almost give that one a run when they approach the green.
Oh God! Hit it! Hit it! Hit something eventually.
I actually had a lot of fun filming Quentin yesterday, or today when this was happening. He's got quite a personality.
Yeah, I love the energy from the Missouri team. They had some when they won the national championship last year. Those were some of the best photos I've ever seen come out of college disc golf. We had Jared with his impressive beard yelling. I couldn't describe him anything but like a lion or a tiger. It was impressive to see the emotion they showed.
Well, Emporia's up there for an easy par. Let's see if Missouri can give this one a run. I guess they elected to play the first one safe and lay up, and giving the second player, Jared, green light to run it for a birdie.
Off the tree.
And look at those jukes by our slow-mo cam, Peter Mares. He got out of the way just in time for that one. If you think it hit his leg, folks, it didn't, I promise you. Go back and watch it in slow motion. He dodged it at the last second, and it went into those bushes behind the pin. Both teams dropping in their easy pars as we move on to hole 11. And here we see Peter's angle of that slow-mo shot that we saw him dodge. Disc is coming right at him, and he realizes it's about to hit him and dodges to the left, gets out of the way.
I absolutely love this 375-foot par 3 on hole 11 here. I would describe this one as throwing from peak to peak with a little valley in between. This one requires incredible amount of distance control to land it on that hill that you see there. This is one of the favorite holes on the course when we're talking to the players.
Yeah, definitely yet another signature hole of this whole property out here at North Cove. We've seen a lot of kind of mounded greens like this at different courses, but no other mounds the size of this one. It is huge.
Yeah, this would do the Hippodrome proud there, Pavvo.
Oh no, that's rolling down the hill.
All the way down. Do you guys want it safe?
It does stay safe there, and I think that's EMAC down there, if I'm not mistaken, sneaking into our coverage yet again.
Told you that doesn't get good.
I like this line from Grant. Let's see if it can stay up on the hill.
And it does. That'll give him a long but scary birdie look. Great looking shot from Noah there. Starting to fade just in time. And that'll give them a long, scary birdie look as well. And you can really hear how wet the ground is. That's a great shot from Jared. I believe that's going to be a little closer. They'll probably go with that one, although I'm not sure.
And here it's hard to get, typically it's hard to get an idea of the elevation change, but you can really see it here in this shot as Cade throws that layup.
Yeah, I mean, anyone who watches disc golf regularly knows that a camera rarely does elevation justice. So when a hole looks steep, even on camera, you know it's extremely steep in real life. Alexis gave that a run. It rolled down the hill, but of course it doesn't matter since his teammate laid up just prior to that. Oh, I was wrong about the lie that Missouri chose. They went for the other one. I guess it was closer than it looked off the tee. Quentin gives that a bid and rolls way down the hill.
It rolled a lot. Way down there.
Let's see if Drew elects to play safe or also give this a run. He gives it a run, and unfortunately the same thing happens. I believe they discussed that before he putted, and they were trying to scramble together some birdies to try to get the win still. Since they're pretty far behind at this point, they kind of felt it was a do-or-die moment for them.
Yeah, 6 throws back with 7 holes left to play. You really got to get a little bit aggressive if you're trying to go for that win for the championship.
And actually, since Missouri is 6 strokes back, and it's going to be 7 strokes back after this, unless Noah can put this in. I should mention that since Emporia is not really competing with Missouri at this point, that on the chase card, we have Cincinnati, and they were 27 under going into the back 9. Just 3 strokes behind Emporia. And like Emporia, Cincinnati also parred holes 10 and 11, so they're still 3 strokes back at this point in the round. As we take one more look at Grant's beautiful form there on that drive, moving on to the only par 5 on the property, hole 12, 986 feet, huge bomber downhill shot off the tee, hazard bunkers as you see there, OB line, cart path and beyond on the left, and an OB line at the tree line on the right as well, which gets tighter and tighter as we approach the basket, where even on the green you can hit basket, and if you roll off to the right, you can very easily end up OB.
Yeah, I dare you to come play this course at North Cove and not want to rip 1 or 2 more extra disc off the top of this tee pad.
Top of the world shots are always fun, even in these conditions. Great shot there from Cade.
Hey, you notice how he put that on a lot of nose down, downward angle? With playing significant elevation changes like this, you want to keep the disc in the fairway and under control. You need to adjust your throw like that.
Yeah, that's a great point, John. Alexis being more aggressive now that they have a drive inbounds and in play, trying to get more distance.
That gets down. That might stay safe.
And it does, just barely.
Options for Emporia State. If that hooks up, I love that one for Missouri.
And it does. Great shot from Drew there. So they have one in play, so I'm assuming that their next player, Quentin here, will be more aggressive. And he is more aggressive indeed. Worried about that wood line on the right for good reason, really wanting it to swing left, and it actually does just in time. That is a crush.
Yeah, that got the full flight of the disc, Pavvo. You love seeing that flight get the full S and then flex out at the end.
Yeah, they might have a chance to attack the green and go for an eagle from that drive.
And even though that landed in the water, that is playing casual today.
Yeah, I would imagine most of the time there's not even water there. That's not normally a creek. It's just a little divot in the fairway, but it's been raining so hard all day that water is flowing down it.
Never getting that disc back.
And Grant turns that over OB, and I couldn't tell if he was being sarcastic or not, but he said, "That's gone. I'm never getting that disc back." And his teammate was like, "It's 10 feet out of bounds. I'm pretty sure you can get it back." Yeah, I think Noah slipped a little bit on that drive, hence the early release that fades out of bounds over the cart path on the left. Yeah, Jared a little bit low, but after the teammate went OB, I'm sure he wanted to just be sure to be safe above all else and not be too aggressive. And here we see where Emporia's disc ended up. You can kind of see by the grass in the water that this is not normally a creek. This is just part of the fairway.
No, it's not. I've played here more than a few times, and I have not ever seen this flowing water like this. I like that safe play, aiming towards the center of the green. Looks like he left it a little short, but that should be a pretty routine putt for Emporia State. Let's see if Alexis can give it a run.
No, not really. Kind of the same play, which is weird. After you already have one there, you would expect the next guy to be a little more aggressive since there's no risk. And I suppose I should also mention at this point, with Cincinnati being on the chase card, that they have already finished this hole and they took a birdie, bringing them to 28 under. That was definitely going to roll OB if it wasn't for that tiny little bush there.
Yeah, that cabbage definitely helped him out on that one.
And Grant for birdie. Oh, no. And he's got to run over to check, but that did unfortunately roll OB. So they had a little discussion at this point, and they didn't want to risk the same thing happening to Justin's putt, so they elected to play safe, asked him to lay up, and just take the par.
Yeah, with live scoring, you know they have to be aware of Cincinnati at their biting on their heels too.
Yeah, better to take the par here and try to continue the solid play than risk taking a bogey or even a double on this hole if they both roll OB and then could potentially miss their next putt. So I do agree with that decision. Look how slick it is out here.
You're awesome.
As we take another look at Noah's putt here. Water flying off the chains.
You really don't appreciate that until you see all these slow-mos.
As we move on to hole 13, a 299-foot uphill par 3, tight gap you have to hit off the tee, that V tree that you see there, or two trees forming a V. You got to get up this hill and fade to the left into a pretty protected basket placement with some trees short left of it and boulders all around it. Very picturesque green.
Yeah, it is, and that redundant there you see on the right actually creates a bit of a bunker, so you want to make sure you keep your disc left and maybe even a little short to give your chance of a putt for a birdie.
Wow, great shot from Noah there.
Using that backstop perfectly there.
Jared a little bit inside. Yep. Doesn't really matter, though, since they're already parked for the birdie. Grant hits the gap perfectly, getting some fade. And that's going to give him maybe a circle's edge putt. Pretty good, but ideally they want to be a little closer than that. Let's see what Justin can do here. Another beautiful looking line.
Get some skip. Nice. That puts him right on the green. We love to see that. Punching it out the gap is nice, but getting up there, getting up the hill for your birdie putt is crucial to keep them in contention during this team round. Oof. Just weak side, a little left for Alexis.
Cade saves the day with that spin putt.
Huge putt for Cade. Not only was he feeling the pressure for himself there as if he was playing singles, but you know he's got to feel the weight of his team on that putt. That's clutch.
I love watching spin putts like that. You see a lot of players come out of areas like Emporia, Kansas, developing putts like that because you can't putt any other way in Emporia wind. Quentin had to stretch out for that one. Gets the birdie.
Oh, man. I don't want to see him go down again. Let's be careful, Quentin.
He's having fun. Gotta love it. Taking one more look at Noah's beautiful drive here. Hitting that gap perfectly with just the right amount of hyzer to give his team the easy drop-in birdie. Almost a drop-in. Moving on to hole 14. Another new hole for us here that we didn't see in singles. We didn't see 13 either for that matter. 405 feet downhill on this one. Hazard bunker there on the left and OB pond very close behind the basket.
Yep, and if they wind up in that OB pond, there's a drop zone just after the cart path there for a tricky putt, putting right back into the OB.
Good looking shot from Quentin if it can miss these last two trees, but it cannot.
That's safe in bounds, though. Drew should really be able to attack this one. Looks like a very similar line to Quentin. Let's see if he can miss the trees. Oh, hyzer and just getting a little bit of action off the limbs, and that should be a putt right outside the circle.
And that's too high and too stable of a disc for Alexis there. That is going way left. There is actually an OB cart path and beyond over there, but it doesn't quite find the OB. Cade with a beautiful hyzer flip. That was a lot of hyzer out of the hand, but right disc choice. It flipped up and faded a little at the end, but that'll give them a birdie putt there. Probably just outside the circle like the other team. Oh, more than just outside the circle. That's more like a 50-footer.
Yeah, sorry, Pavvo. I'm going to have to correct myself there, too. That's definitely far outside the circle from Missouri as well.
Oh, so close from Justin. Stay safe, inbounds. Oh, Noah just tickling the rim there. That is also safe. You can see the string there, marking the OB very, very close behind the basket. Jared trying to give it a bit as well. Both stay safe.
Pretty routine tap-ins for our pars here. I got to point out that we love to see Throw Pink represented on the Missouri jerseys. They've been crucial to growing the women's game at their college. They are actually representing multiple women's teams here for Missouri.
Great thing to point out, John. And just to give our viewers an update, since I neglected to mention anything on the last hole, Cincinnati also birdied hole 13 like Emporia did, and they both parred hole 14. So they are Emporia still has a 2-stroke lead at this point. Moving on to hole 15, a 444-foot par 4. Very reminiscent of hole 3. It's kind of a mirror image of that, if you will, where there's this peninsula safe area off of the tee. You got to land between these two cart paths, and then a bunch of OB between there and the island green denoted by the rock line in the front and the creek behind it. There's a drop zone on the peninsula for drives that go OB and a drop zone on the island for second shots that go OB. That is too far left. That is out of bounds.
Good stop there from Noah. Way to reset.
That's looking perfect. That's the ideal landing zone right there. That'll give him a nice straight shot to the green.
100%. About the best footing you can ask for on that peninsula.
And actually also, like hole 3, there's a ditch on the peninsula too, where some safe shots that look good off the tee can be inbounds, but lead to very tricky footing, as we saw in the singles coverage yesterday.
Ooh, sit down. Wow.
That's about as much as you can bite off of this tee shot.
Yeah, I'm going to say that shot was so good it took some teeth off the approach. Now, let's see what Grant's doing here. Looks like he's going to attack the green on a wide hyzer.
That's right. I mean, they had the best possible shot, so why not get aggressive? And he clipped some branches there, but that makes me think we might see some pros next weekend getting super aggressive on this, going for the eagle off the tee. It hadn't even occurred to me until Grant decided to try it there.
Yeah, and for those of you who don't know, we have the Blue Ridge Championships, a DGPT Silver Series coming to this course next week.
And Missouri already has one inbounds on the island. Let's see if Drew can put this one a little closer, give him an easier putt. And he does.
Can't ask for much better than that.
I mean, you could ask for a slick umbrella pickup like that.
I'm going to have to say the point of the camera was my favorite part of that one. Come on, Alexis, get that down.
And he's good. I should mention at this point as well that Cincinnati has finished this hole. They did take a birdie, so they are now at 30 under par. Oh, barely getting that one in bounds. Not that it mattered. They already had one in bounds. We had a couple hit the rocks and go inbounds on these upshots here.
Yeah, I like to see the rocks in play on this one. It really creates a challenge to where you have to throw it with the perfect amount of elevation. You can't just rely on that backstop of the hill there that you see to slow it down. You really have to have great finesse when you land it on this tricky island green. 2 birdies for our team. Star frame. Moving on to hole 16.
Look at that house up there on the hillside. Why can't I live there?
Pavvo, I gotta be real with you. That was where one of our Airbnbs were for our staff, and we were absolutely spoiled rotten all week.
Oh, that's funny. I happened to mention a house that you're familiar with. Random. Moving on to hole 16, par 3, 378 feet. It's kind of an island hole, although there is a safe layup zone, as we see on the right here, where those players are practicing. But if you don't elect for that layup zone, everything on the left, short of the bridge, is OB. Of course, the creek is OB, and everything on that slope and at the top of that little hill there is also OB. So it's a very tight island green. And that finds the island. Great shot there from Drew. I should also mention, since this is a par 3, Cincinnati has played this hole now, and unfortunately they took a bogey on it and dropped to 29 under. So Emporia has a 3-stroke lead going into this hole.
Wow, that looked like a great shot. That was unfortunate to hit the bridge there and kick down into the OB.
Yeah, you basically have to be past the bridge and on the left of it to be in bounds. Even if you're on land underneath it, that's still OB.
Wow, when I saw Alexis lining this one up, I wasn't sure if he was going for the safe shot, but looks like he is there.
Yep. And there we got EMAC confirming that it's safe in play, which gives Cade the green light to go for the island. Oh, he overturned that. Can it get enough fade? No, there's some branches over there. OB. Hopefully it stayed there. I think it did. I kind of remember him getting it back. So they have to go with Alexis's drive, of course. And Justin laying it up nicely. Any putt's a tricky putt on this basket, though.
Mm-hmm. It's one of those difficult situations where almost the closer you are, the higher your angle is, making it a little bit more challenging.
And Grant putting that one a little closer. That should give him an easier putt than where Justin was at. And here's Noah for the birdie. Solid putt. Very committed. I love his putting form. It's aggressive and committed and confident.
Yeah, very smooth too, Pavvo.
Cade for the par save, and he gets it. This shows you how elevated this basket truly is. Gotta wonder if some shorter players can't even get their discs out of it when all there is that little rock for players to step on.
Yeah, because I saw Cade in person plenty this week, and I have to say he's one of our taller competitors.
Yeah, he's not
too.
a short guy, and he struggled to get it out, so... another look at Noah's beautiful birdie putt there as we move on to hole 17, a big par 3, 445 feet, OB line down the left. As you can see, there's the creek down there as well, a small hazard bunker there, and then anything on or beyond that cart path to the right plays as hazard. Green gets incredibly tight up here. And prior to our cards teeing off here, our card teeing off here, Cincinnati actually birdied this hole to move to 30 under par.
A little bit too much grip there for Noah. He turned that one over significantly. That's definitely going to be into our hazard.
Yeah, it slipped out of Jared's hand there. And that is OB in the creek. Looks like they're going to have to go with that one way out there in the hazard.
Justin going with the right hand backhand. Let's see if that can hyzer and come back in bounds. Oh, yeah, it was short of the cart path. Excuse me there. That one's safe. Should give him a pretty easy up and down from there. Let's see if Grant can get more aggressive.
I believe he slipped a bit on the tee pad there. That may have contributed to the grip lock. And he is out there in the hazard. So they're going to have to go with the safer drive here and try to play for a par.
Oh, that needs to get down. That's headed right for the river.
And that's OB. Alexis really wanting to put this one close. I'm sure they've checked the live scores.
That's going to need some serious ground play. The wet grass just wasn't give it to him. That's
Yeah.
a hazard.
I think just watching his teammate go OB left, he just wanted to be absolutely sure he didn't do that and aired too much on the other side. Wow. Tough to find OB there without going in the creek or the river. So Drew doesn't give it a run because that previous one went OB, and they're parked there. And they elected to take the lie from the one that went OB in the creek, putting for a bogey, and Grant misses. So
let's see what Justin can do. Hopefully he can mitigate the damage as much as possible here.
If he makes this, they will maintain a one-stroke lead over Cincinnati going into hole 18. Oh, man. Looks like the moment got to him because Justin's been a solid putter all week on our coverage that we've seen. And he kind of seemed like he took a lot longer than his normal routine there, just letting the moment get to him almost. So that is a double bogey for Emporia after a solid performance for 16 consecutive holes. They were bogey free, and they broke the streak with a double bogey. Single bogey for Missouri, but with Cincinnati's birdie on 17 and Emporia's double, that is a 3-stroke swing, and they are now tied going into the last hole.
Another slow-mo of Noah. Man, I love seeing his backhand. He's got some great technique with that full reach back.
And here we are on hole 18, an 818-foot par 4, throwing over the OB Creek off of the tee shot. Everything on the left here, even in those trees, is safe. You just can't go past the cart path. And there's this whole safe landing area here. The players ideally are trying to land kind of in the middle of this grassy area here. And then most players and teams are electing to play this one for par because the island green is tiny. So they're probably going to be trying to lay up to where these two guys are walking here, signaling to the drone to continue flying, and then playing hopefully their third shot onto the island and getting their par. This is a hole I would imagine we saw very few birdies on, even in teams play.
Yeah, I think I'm not aware of any, and one of the pars we saw was actually a significant 200-foot throw-in.
And Quentin's up first here. Fade back now. Wow, what a crush from Quentin. Beautiful.
Yeah, you got to say they're going to attack the green from that one. I couldn't see them holding back and playing their next shot too safe.
Well, especially in teams, what I would guess they do is the first guy plays safe and the second guy goes for the green.
You sure you haven't played this format before, Pavvo? That's a great bit of strategy there.
Well, like everyone, I've played doubles, but I don't think I've played teams with 4 people. Oh, man. I mean, with Quentin's perfect shot, what else can you do but go for everything? Gotta love the commitment. Of course, that kicks way left OB, but it doesn't matter. What matters here is how Emporia State can do.
Wow, the hyzer line on the left side, that's he really snuck that by that initial tree. That's a great shot from Cade. Wow.
Beautiful. That's going to put him in play. Alexis up next. Oh, that's overturned. And that finds the OB Creek. But, of course, it doesn't really matter with Cade's beautiful drive that they'll be able to take. And when they were teeing off, of course, Cincinnati had not yet finished the hole since this was a par 4. They were throwing their upshots. But by this time, Cincinnati has finished the hole. They parred it. They stayed at -30. So that means, as we see Justin's shot here, looks like it lands in bounds, but it is OB by mere inches, just based on where the OB line happens to be drawn at the edge of the creek there. That's extremely unfortunate.
Yeah, it was. I was up there standing on the bridge at that time, and I just honestly couldn't believe that skirted just barely out of bounds. I mean, it was mere inches away from the line.
Yeah, Emporia couldn't believe it either. That's really unfortunate. But like I was saying, Cincinnati got the par. They are at -30, so if Emporia pars this, that goes to a playoff. If Emporia birdies it, they can win the tournament. As Grant plays a safe shot out there to the left because of Justin's unfortunate OB.
Yeah, that's going to require an up and down from Emporia to take it to a playoff now.
And there we go. One safe shot for Missouri. This should give Noah the green light to run the island. Wide hyzer line. Can it miss the trees? And it cannot. That is OB. He didn't cross the island on that one, but I should still mention, even if he did cross the island and go OB, this hole has island rules where you still don't get to take it on the island. You have to take it from where it initially crossed over the OB from this left side of the fairway. Alexis with a hyzer. And that might look safe, folks, but if you look closely, there's a little rope there denoting OB kind of at the end of the flat part, and he is OB by a few inches.
Yeah, not even a disc width away from the line again for Emporia State there.
Come on, Cade.
Miss it.
Oh, no. And he knows what that means. Alexis trying to show some support. Cade didn't even notice him, unfortunately. That's got to be a painful pill to swallow for Emporia. 2 shots, Justin's second shot, and then Alexis's third shot there. Just barely going OB. As we see Missouri stick the island nicely. And they're parked for their par. Which means Quentin has the green light to give it a run. He's asking his teammates which disc he should throw. They go, I don't know, man. You know your discs better than we do. Just pick one. He goes, okay, I'll pick this one. Give it a run.
Oh.
And he's so excited, he just runs off in an arbitrary direction. I love this guy.
I think his momentum started and it was so slick out he couldn't slow himself down, so he just had to keep going with it. Wow, great bid for Missouri and Quentin.
And here we see a look at Justin's second shot there, how close that was to coming back in bounds for Emporia. So now, like I said, since they didn't land those on the island, even though Alexis has crossed the island, they still have to take it from this side. So this is now technically for a bogey from here. So even if they make it, they don't go into a playoff. And you can tell Grant doesn't really care anymore. He's disappointed, as anyone would be in his shoes. And Noah here tapping in the par for Missouri, which puts them at 1 down for the round, 26 down overall for the event. Alexis tapping in for the double bogey for Emporia State, bringing them to 28 under, which still landed them in second place, but man, that's got to hurt, being tied going into the last hole, being bogey-free for 16 holes in a row, and then finishing on a couple double bogeys in a row. I feel sorry for these competitors, John.
Yeah, it's hard for me as the TD. I have to remain as neutral as I can, but I'll tell you what, my heart was hurting for these players when I was standing on 18. It was absolutely heartbreaking. I would have loved to have seen it go to a playoff and give them a chance to fight for it, but the cards fell where they did, and yeah, it was emotional for sure.
And here we see those final results. Cincinnati shooting an impressive 8 under par for the round, finishing at 30 under par for the event. Emporia State finishing at 28 under. Missouri taking that third place down at 26 under. And we see the rest of our top 10 right there, including North Carolina State, which apparently, I read the comments, guys, North Carolina and NC State are not the same. I apologize. I should have been calling them NC State in our round 1 feature.
College disc golf national champions, the University of Cincinnati.
Kyle with the hoist the basket there. That thing is not light either, trust me. They were pumped for this win. We have Kyle Taylor, Bradley Caldwell, Calvin Caldwell, and Tanner Young representing the University of Cincinnati.
Look at Tanner Young sneaking into our coverage just to be a winner, but not throw a single shot on camera multiple times this week, winning the singles event from the third card yesterday, and then his team winning the teams event from the chase card today.
Yeah, we did get to see Calvin there during our finals 13 coverage, and he played a great round, but with singles average scores of 9 down, 2 under, and we actually had a late appearance by Bradley to his tee time, so they overcame a significant over par score for him for their team average, and they were still able to pull out the win. Incredibly impressive from Cincinnati.
Well, it's been a fun week, John. I've really enjoyed filming and watching and commentating this coverage with you. I love all 3 courses out here at North Cove. Thanks again to the PDGA for having Central Coast Disc Golf out here to do the coverage. We love doing it. We hope to be back again. And you got anything else to add, John?
Now it's just my pleasure being here, Pavvo, and thank you so much to all the competitors who made this event special. We'll see you next year in Rock Hill.
See you guys.